Chicago Hockey Radio. My gosh.
Oh, whoa. Need some of
Should
this?
have cleared the throat. Yeah, a little bit.
Want to
I'll take
hit
some of the
that?
water.
Hit that water really quick. That H2O.
Chicago Hockey Radio. It's Friday.
It is.
Justin Lynch, Lee Grossman, Tassos Kirkos, and Raven Gasser, all here in Chicago.
In the cut.
First day is Anders Sorensen, head coach, Blackhawks era, new era of Blackhawks hockey. How are we feeling today, fellas? Sorry, I'm out of it off the rip here.
It's okay. No.
I'm a -1 so far. I'll take it. Jeez. All
No,
right.
that's right. I
I'm
think
a -1
you're damn
off.
right. It's a new era, right? I think we're excited, right? We're excited to see how this plays out. This is like I said in the post-game show, kind of a breath of fresh air that this team needed. We need to do something. I think the definition of doing the same thing over and over again, doing nothing, that's insanity, right? So we made this big change, and we'll see how it plays out. I think we'll get into it later, but based on what we're seeing so far in this first practice with Sorensen, like it's already a drastic change we're starting to see. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow against the Jets. I think that'll be an exciting game. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we got a decent amount to talk about here. The KD presser going into a little bit more, getting a little more information about his thought process, although pretty much everything we already thought to be true last night on the emergency podcast that we did. And then also the first practice under Anders Sorensen. We got there's some video that was posted on Twitter and some lines and stuff. So a lot to get into. I think maybe we start with, do we want to start with practice or do we want to start with the press conference?
Yeah, we should probably finish up with Richardson here, then move on to Sorensen,
Okay.
I would think.
Yeah. I would start with the press conference. I'm going to try and find my words here
Okay.
at some point.
All right. Yeah, so I mean some interesting quotes from Richardson for sure from the press conference.
Can we say not making it available to the public is crazy?
Yeah,
At least
criminal.
on the Blackhawks website.
Yeah, I mean-
how do you not put a coaching change press conference live on your team's website or your team's YouTube or something?
It should be on YouTube.
That's
Or-
ridiculous.
And it's something like this new regime has spoke so much about being more transparent with the fans. That doesn't seem like being transparent to me. It's like the only clips I've gotten are from CHGO on Twitter. It's like, oh, that's not really cool, but I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even post it on CHSN, did they?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, especially I'm paying $20 a month for this app. But he did have some interesting quotes. Some that I liked, some that I didn't like.
A lot of political talk.
He sounded like a politician. He was asked by Ben Pope if he has any regrets about the roster that he constructed and the personnel he brought in and also who he didn't bring in. And his answer was just so he's a U.S. senator or something. He was like, we've been assessing the situation and what you could have done better. I don't know if we're at that point where we have enough information to say that, though. And it's like, well, you had enough information to fire your head coach, you know? So that kind of frustrates me a little bit. I think that's kind of a cop-out answer. I think I would personally rather the guy say, yeah, look, wasn't the perfect roster that we brought in, but certainly thought that it was better than it's performing right now. And so that's kind of why we're here. But he kind of just sidestepped it and didn't take any blame, which I guess I don't know if I can blame him for. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Would
mean,
you
he's not
do the
going to
same
admit.
thing?
He's not going to admit to that. Like, oh yeah, I definitely screwed up in that aspect. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear just from seeing this that not all the blame should be on Luke. Like some of this is on Kyle. Maybe he gave him a bad hand here. It's like, yeah, I wasn't doing much during the season in terms of roster moves and stuff. But like he did make 7 free agent additions and the Mikhail trade, all that, like a bunch of new additions on his team. So it's not like he didn't saddle Luke with a better team here and he didn't get the best out of it in his view. I think he saw enough 26 games in where that was enough of a sample size to make a decision. And yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. We talked about the post-game show. Like, for the most part, I think we agreed with the decision. Maybe the timing was a little odd, but I think he also answered some of those questions too, because, we do know a month ago he was very against the idea of firing Luke.
Yeah.
And we'll get into exactly like what he said in terms of why that changed. Yeah.
Yeah, he had also said like he had told reporters a month ago, like November 4th, that that the rumors and all this talk of Luke Richardson getting fired was complete nonsense and was not something that was even on his mind fast forward a month later, you know, the month of November goes by. Here we are at the start of December, and he gets canned. So, I mean, we all know that November was dreadful. So obviously, you know, you say a lot can change, and a lot did change. You know, it was like the month of November. I don't know about you guys, but personally, it made me realize this team sucks. Right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, we're not really underperforming. This team's kind of bad. You know,
because we had some hope in October. Like I think the way we were playing, it's like we were losing, but it's like we had high expected goals. A lot of these games were actually outperforming the opposition. November, that wasn't the case. Like we're not only we're losing these close games, but we're getting outplayed too. I think it just showed like no, like this system generally is bad. I mean, there needs to be a change here, like for sure.
Tassos, do you think that this team is bad, or do you think it's more that they're underperforming?
It's certainly a mix of both.
Yeah.
You have guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, TJ Brody, Alec Martinez, to a lesser extent, the guys you re-signed like Nick Foligno, to these tickets, to these deals to get you to the floor, the Athanasius who's down in the minors still, Jason Dickinson, like those guys are certainly underperforming. To the amount of like people, the way to tell me you don't watch the Blackhawks is the Connor Bedard sophomore slump take.
Yeah.
Like that's top of the like. Oh, you actually don't watch the games.
That's just looking at stats. That's just looking at stats.
Like you don't watch the games.
Yeah.
So
just feeding into media narratives.
Yeah. Yes, I do think there are steps that Kyle could have taken in-house to make the team better. The calling up of the young guys to inject some life. I get it. It's November, now December. They need games under their belts at the pro level. Get them in Rockford right now while we're figuring things out here. I don't know why, you know, the trade talk that I was spitting out over the, you know, last month wasn't taken a bit more seriously. And I think Kyle was out there, and I know we're going to talk about the mess that is the New York Rangers and what is going on there today. Probably a lot more. We'll dig into that in the NHL hour. But fellas, if there's an inkling that Brady Tkachuk is out there,
oh my
currently,
god, oh my gosh,
he'd be perfect for this team.
I trade family members for Brady Tkachuk.
Which ones? They're probably listening to you right now.
Yeah, they all listen to me. So
all the ones that are listening.
No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, you should.
But if you let the New York Rangers step in here with Alexis Lafreniere, and I'm just saying that, you know, I get it. If you're Ottawa, you're trading your captain Brady Tkachuk. You have to get something.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't show your fans Kevin Korchinski for Brady Tkachuk and say, hey, Ottawa, look what we got.
It's funny you say that too, because like we effectively got him from Ottawa too, because we picked Korchinski with Ottawa picks. So that would be kind of funny. I know you're just throwing out there as hypothetical, but that would kind of come full circle.
I know, but it would have to be like Ottawa going full youth, you know, this Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle core. So trade, you know, like a package. You'd have to package what? You know, what would you give? What would you give? Your first round pick in 2026?
Yeah.
Nazar and Korchinski?
I don't want to give up Frank Nazar.
I know you don't, but it would take something like that. It would take a massive piece. And I know you don't want to give him up, but would you?
Are there enough B-level prospects in the Hawk system? There are enough that you could, but I think those are just going to have to be peddled in other moves to make the team a contender.
Yeah. I just think it'd be interesting to see if, like, what do they want? Do they want like NHL ready players? Do they want draft capital? what is it exactly that they'd be looking for?
Because clearly, all of this is to say, I'm not talking like this is just like out there right now today, and is the discourse. So I figured I would throw the Hawks ring in there. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I don't think the Hawks are in it right now. If Brady Tkachuk gets dealt to the New York Rangers and they were the only ones really in on it,
You played yourself.
Everybody who didn't want Brady Tkachuk on their hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew had 5 points last night he hung 5 points on the Philadelphia Flyers last night after getting named at Team USA, which Brady's also on. And I don't know, man, like is a Stanley Cup champion and is like the embodiment of that entire Florida Panthers team, which I think, the NHL is a copycat league, and the Panthers are kind of modeled after, the Golden Knights were, just big on defense and can move the puck and hard in the corner. Like, I don't know. Deep.
And yeah, I mean, you're completely right. Brady Tkachuk is the embodiment of the type of player you want to win Stanley Cups. Like he does everything for you. He's a postseason player, and he hasn't played in the postseason at all, So yeah, I mean, that is a guy that we've spent some years developing and creating this draft capital, and we have all these prospects, but it's like, if you're going to move them for anybody, that's a guy you move them for, in my opinion.
It's anybody, right, Justin? Like, isn't it, like, that's what I'm saying, that it should be, it doesn't need to be Brady, it doesn't need to be Mitch Marner, it doesn't need to be Elias Pettersson, but somebody, like, let's pull somebody from somewhere to make this an elite hockey team, right? Like, and it's the whole thing of, I said this yesterday a little bit on the emergency thing with regards to this, is it always feels like, and Jeff Merrick talks about this a lot, that a GM used to always give a coach a trade before firing them. Like, they would always give them a trade, and now that's lost. Like, that doesn't happen anymore with the salary cap the way it is. A coach doesn't really get a trade now. The coach is really the first thing to go, because it's easier to fire a coach than it is to trade a player sometimes.
Yeah.
The New York Rangers are literally putting their captain on waivers today.
The only pushback...
That's pretty well. Has that ever happened?
I don't know. Well,
That's insane.
I still couldn't find any confirmation of it.
I will say
it's
that
the first time.
Well, while that is true, what you said there, it's like, yes, Davidson hasn't done, a roster move during this season, but like, he did so much during the offseason where it's like, I think it's like his thought is, I've given you this team, now let's work with this, right?
He did a lot of nothing. He did a lot of nothing.
Yeah,
this summer.
So that's why the original question I asked you, Tassos, about, is this team just bad or are they underperforming? If you lean more that the team is bad, that's Kyle Davidson. That's not Luke Richardson.
It is Kyle Davidson.
So it's like, even if it's 50-50, well, now you fired the coach. Now the general manager has to be on the hot seat now, if he wasn't before, because you fired your coach. And so obviously, from Kyle Davidson's perspective, he's going to be saying, no, this team's, underperforming.
Kyle Davidson has a lot more runway.
I think, yeah, because he's general manager.
Yeah, all of his players are in Rockford that he's drafted. So, yeah, besides Bedsy. So, I don't think he could really, his construction isn't even close yet. This is a stopgap transitional team.
It'll be a long time before the Wirtz family fires Kyle Davidson.
Yeah, yes, you're right. Davidson didn't make, crazy move this offseason, but like Teravainen and Bertuzzi, guys like that aren't nothing players. Like, this is objectively a way better roster than last season. So it's like, yeah, and exactly. For that reason, the fact that we are in last place and literally the same record at this time this year as last year, it's like, yeah, I think it justifies the Luke firing. But yes, does KD share some of the blame? And also the fact he did hire Luke Richardson, right? He was the first coach he hired, so I think he shares some blame from that aspect too, like for why it didn't work out. That's strike one, right?
I think that this season he brought in a lot of players. Was it like 7 guys? And
yeah, a lot of them were mid.
It hasn't worked. And even with the Bertuzzi thing, it's like we signed him to what, 4 years, 5.5, something.
And he hasn't been that effective.
Oh my gosh, not even close.
No. Like,
Turbo's been inconsistent. None of them have really been what we hoped. It's funny. The most consistent ones have probably been the fourth liners, Maroon and Smith. That's kind of sad.
You have to think, like, Teravainen was a good signing, and that was probably always going to be a good signing. People forget or don't even really realize how dynamic he was in Carolina with like good players around him. The Bertuzzi signing though, like you didn't have any inkling that the Maple Leafs chose Max Domi over Tyler Bertuzzi this summer. That wasn't a hint to you.
I mean,
I wasn't as enthusiastic
financial
about that one.
It was financial though.
You know? I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but
you're going to have to pay Bertuzzi more
know?
than Max Domi.
If there was no cap, the Leafs probably would have signed them both. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that Tyler Bertuzzi might be more of a guy that
he does a lot of nothing out there, fellas.
I think he feeds off of playing with high end talent.
But it takes him half a season to get engaged.
Yeah, which is not good.
The problem is, like, he kind of has to play the high end talent to be effective. Like, he's hardly played at Bedsy this year, and we've seen. I think that's probably a big part of why he hasn't been that effective, right? Yeah.
And even when he has for the
he hasn't even looked that good with Bedsy.
Yeah,
last 2 games that wasn't even hot.
Look, I think there's a lot of reason to be critical over Kyle Davidson, but I think now more than ever he has to be aggressive. He has to be aggressive with free agency this season, and he's going to have to be aggressive with the draft. And so if he is, that's kind of the reason why I like this Luke Richardson firing, is because it shows that Kyle Davidson he's got some cojones,
Oh, he's an aggressive GM. He's never been afraid to be aggressive. That's one thing you could definitely say about him, especially on the draft floor. Like, he'll be a guy who'll make a big move out of nowhere, right? So that's good. It's good to see. Like, we're not content with what's been going on, right? It's a big message to the locker room.
This just feels aggressive in the wrong ways a little bit.
The reason why I'm okay with it is it's the same thing with the Bears. It's like, I have been saying all season that I kind of didn't really think Richardson was going to be the guy for this team if we're going to actually win Stanley Cups down the road. Now that you've got him fired and you just have an interim coach sitting for the rest of the season, now if there's a big name, if there's a legit coach that becomes available, you have all the room to be able to be the team to go get that guy.
You had that anyways.
Not really, because you'd have to fire the coach first and do all this stuff. Like, it's the same thing with Montgomery.
They're already starting the search now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I think it puts yourself ahead of the curve, and I think that should be the precedent. Is you should be getting a legit NHL, proven coach, and that's what they should be looking for this offseason.
Yeah, like they are giving Sorensen the season, right? Like they did with Derek King when they fired Colleton. He's going to have the rest of the season, see what he's got. But it's like, you'd be foolish to think they're not already have a list down. They're already kind of creating that list of like potential coaches in line. And there are plenty on the market. So it's like when April does come around, like they're already have a pretty good idea of who they want for sure.
Anything else from the press conference that you guys took away or no?
No.
Make it available for God's sake.
Just that Kyle Davidson did make it seem like he's just Sorensen is just a temporary coach. He's not going to be like, he's just giving him the rest of the season and then they're going to reevaluate in the offseason. He did not make it seem like he's like actually going to be potentially the long-term head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, which I am okay with, because I don't want another first-time NHL head coach. I want a legit proven guy. So I'm okay with that.
And the Hawks' last 4 coaches have all been first-timers, right? Yep. Jeremy Colleton, Derek King, Richardson, and now Sorensen. I think another thing I found interesting is I think we kind of speculated this as like Davidson did make it seem like, this was a pretty recent development, thinking about firing Richardson.
Yeah.
I think after he basically made it sound like after that promising Stars game, just the complete flat line after that, which I speculated on the post-game show, is kind of what caused it. So just to get that confirmed, for sure.
Yeah. And Davidson also made it seem like, it was kind of like a style, or, whatever Richardson was implementing wasn't working. He did kind of hint at that too. So interesting stuff. We'll see kind of how I think that this should light a little bit of a fire under his rear end, and hopefully we see him be aggressive, because look, you have to be now. In my opinion, you have to be aggressive. So let's see it. If you guys would like to move on, Sorensen's first practice just took place. And they showed that the first drill that they had the team running was just a basic passing drill. How do you feel about that?
We're back in Pee Wee bantam hockey here. I can recall a lot of practices starting like that. But in all seriousness, I actually like that because that is something, it sounds silly to say, but that is something passing that this team has struggled with. Just connecting on basic tape-to-tape breakout passes and turning the puck over has been a big problem for this team. So I kind of like that actually, starting to, kind of getting back to the basics to start your first practice. I think that's a good move, to be honest. It might look silly, but I think there's a reason for it.
When do you think Sorensen found this news out, or like when do you think Kyle Davidson told him? Like, did he just find out yesterday and then have to get over to Chicago right away?
Honestly, it sounds like it was a pretty recent development. It wouldn't shock me if he found out probably right before they announced it or leaked it yesterday, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know, something interesting to think about. We also have the first set of lines under the Sorensen regime. Should I read those out?
Yeah, read them out. Sorry, I'm posting TikToks right now.
Okay, fair enough. So the first line is Kurashev, Teravainen, Bedard, but with Bedard on the left wing and Kurashev down the middle. Thoughts on that? I like it.
I like moving Bedard back to the wing. I mean, we talked about how much he's been struggling on the dot and stuff, and just don't let him worry about the defense. Let Bedard get back to his game. I think that's got to be the priority for this Sorensen regime. Is like, let's get Bedard's development back on track here. Again, I don't think the regression has been as stark as people make it out to be, but we'd also be foolish to say like he hasn't. I think we can all agree he hasn't quite played the way we would have hoped this season so far. So has the whole team. But it's like we want to see more of Bedard. He's better than 19 points in 26 games. Don't worry about the defense. Just get back to your game. There's other guys in this team who can handle that. He's a 19-year-old. Just get back to the basics. What makes you a great player? I think getting Kurashev, putting him on the wing, and then with Kurashev and Tavo, two skilled players who he has chemistry with back up there. Tavo especially, because it's easy to forget, like, he had a good start to the season, right? Have Bedard's wing in October. And ever since Luke moved him off the wing, he's kind of struggled. So getting him back up there with Kurashev, and hopefully he and Bedsy can rekindle that chemistry. I like that. That's a good first line.
Yeah, and honestly, that line, if they average a goal and a half a game and then get scored on twice a game, I'm okay with it. Like
that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these games are sorts and are going to be higher scorings. I do think it's going to be more of an offensive driven system. We might be losing these games by the games might be further apart than these close 2-1, 3-1 games. But if we're scoring more, and if the young guns like Bedsy, Kershey, Reichel, the guys on this team are actually going to be a part of this core for the future. If they're playing well, then I'm happy. That's what I want to see. Development. Oh. Yes, we want to see more wins and points, which I think will come, but that is the priority for Sorensen regime.
Although that might dig Kurashev deeper into his minus hole, but I'm here for it. Anyway, moving on. The second line is Donato at center, Bertuzzi on the right, Halsey on the left. I like that too. I think that we've kind of figured out towards the end of the Richardson regime, we didn't necessarily find out the best top two lines, but you kind of knew the six players that were going to make up the top two lines. It was just what was the combinations of them. Do you like this combo?
They experimented with Hall, Bertuzzi, and Bedard, and that didn't really go so well. I mean, Hall briefly did, so I think moving them back to second line is smart. Donato, the way he's been playing, like as much as I'd like to see Reichel in the top six, like I get it. He's that chemistry of Maroon and Smith. Maybe the thought process is like maybe you keep something initially from the Richardson regime, and the bottom six is exactly the same. So from that aspect, I think I get it. And the bottom six has been good for us. It's more just finding the right combos in the top six has been a struggle. So I think the second line, could be a good complementary piece to the first line.
Yeah, and so as Justin just said, the bottom six is like the exact same. It's the Foligno, Dickinson, Mikheyev line, and then you can throw in Joey Anderson in there. And then the fourth line has been probably our most consistent, strongest line all season. Pat Maroon, Reichel, and Smith. I think I'm glad he's keeping them together. It makes sense. Why would you mix that up when they're like the only line that looks like they have any sort of chemistry and have had like sustained success together? I would just like to see them play a little bit more, Yeah,
I would almost make that the third line at this point, and then the Foligno Dickinson line could be the fourth. Maybe that's disrespectful to the captain and Dickey, but like they've been playing so well, I think they deserve more than 10 minutes a night.
I just think that third line is still going to be used as the shutdown line, so they're always going to be playing a decent amount of minutes every game. And then the defensive pairings, we've got Vlasic and Murphy, which is the same, and Alan Martinez, and then Brody and Crevier with Kaiser.
Okay, so Kaiser's a scratch.
He's
kind of struggled lately. That doesn't shock me. I wonder if we're gonna get a net tomorrow. Probably. Do we know that yet? Probably not.
I would assume it's gonna be Mrazek.
Yeah, probably. But I do like these initial lines. They're already better than Luke. I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, but I'm excited to see how it plays out for sure. I think it should be more entertaining hockey, more fun hockey to watch. That's what I'm hoping at least. Yeah.
Wyatt Kaiser moving out of the top six though into the seventh spot on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been super solid the past couple games.
Yeah, no,
So
that doesn't shock me.
that's kind of how this roster works. Is if you're playing bad, there's so many other guys that can be moved into that spot, and so that's kind of what happens.
Well, it's not how this roster has worked, but it's how it should work.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's that's how it's worked for those like defensemen. Like, there's been a revolving door for that like sixth guy, pretty much all season. But yeah, you're right. It is how it should be. I don't know. So what are expectations now with this like with this team and this roster? I think I kind of know how I feel about it, but I'd be interested in hearing Tassos and Justin what you guys want to
I'll
see.
be honest, like I'm not necessarily expecting this team. I think initially they will be because normally when there's a new coach, like there's an initial bump for those first few games. Like it wouldn't shock me if it went on like a quick 3-4 game win streak, which I go for this team is asking for a lot, but it honestly wouldn't shock me. And it'll probably snap back to reality after that. Like I'm not necessarily expecting way more wins or way more points. I think there'll be an increase. I mean, it's hard to get worse, and I don't think it'll be flatlined. But I think it's still the same team here. It's still the same roster. I mean, I would hope eventually. I think the plan is for now to keep it the same, but I do hope eventually they start calling up some of these young guns. We got the Ice Hawks culture. You may as well. So when that happens, with guys like Nazer, I think they'll help out as well. But long story short, I think just more fun games to watch, more competitive hockey. It doesn't necessarily mean closer. That just means like funner, like more engaging, more high energy. A lot of these games have been sleepy. Consistent 60-minute efforts. That's another thing with this team. It's just been a struggle. So just more life, more energy. Let's see the young guns produce. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I want to see more offense.
More offense.
Like
yeah.
if you told me that every single game for the rest of the season we're gonna lose 8-7, I'd be like, all right, sign me up. Let's do it.
And what? That's one thing. It's like the Richardson defenders. It's like, oh, his defensive systems were so great. Maybe, but like, was it that or was it Mrazek and Soderblom bailing out their team every night and making them look better than he really was? I think there's a point to that too, where it's like, I think if we get more goals and the goaltending stays the way it is, like, I think this team can play better. Maybe I'm being delusional, but that's the thought process too, right?
Yeah.
Bedard wasn't on the wing today at practice. Also, that was updated. He was at center.
I feel like that happens like once a week where it's like these reporters, like one guy says one thing and then
Pope and Meliodas are always like they're always saying different things.
Pope had him on the left and then Meliodas said that he's playing center.
Yeah.
So
he was playing center.
So
okay. I don't mind that actually. I mean, they did experiment Bedsy on the wing. I do hope they at least have somebody else. Maybe Tavo could do the draws or something because Bedsy's been struggling from that regard. No, Tavo, he's normally a winger, but I think he could take draws. He's done it in his career, so or even Kershey. I think he's okay at face-offs, but yeah, I mean, keep him at center. That's what he's got to be the 1C for this team. I mean, so yeah, I get it.
Something that I forgot to mention about the presser. Davidson was asked about Frank Nazer possibly coming up, and he kind of made it seem like he wanted the dust to settle here for a second. But that seems to be something that's going to be happening relatively soon. So
yeah, because like it's not like he shot it down like he normally does. It's more like, oh, it's like we're just going to give him, which I think is smart, right? Let's give him the same team here for a little bit just to kind of let things fester. But then as we get into this, it's like, okay, like if Nazar is still playing the way he is, which we expect, it's not off the table now.
Yeah, and that makes sense because if you think about it, like if they were to make that move right now and Nazer plays on Saturday, you have to cut someone.
Trade somebody.
Or trade someone. But you have to scratch someone, and so it's like whoever that would be, you got a new coach, and then all of a sudden you're scratched right away for the first game. Like I don't think that would send the best message to the lineup. I think you bring him in a few games to where it's like, it really feels like he's part of the squad and he's not just like 1-for-1 swapping with a player.
Yeah, it does feel like if there is going to be a player that's cut, I alluded to it. It does feel like Joey Anderson might be the odd man out here because like Mikheyev kind of does what he does, but better, and he's kind of consistently been the 13th forward. So it's like if you're going to call somebody like Nazar up, I would think he's probably the guy who's out. That's just me speculating, but again, that's a problem down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, where would you put him in this lineup? Would you put him on the second line?
I think he could be the 2C. I mean, we've been searching this. That's been the big debate, right? Is figuring out this 2C situation. I think you could slot Nazar there, but would he? Honestly, I think Sorensen would be more willing to do it. I don't think Richardson would have, but I think Sorensen would be more willing to put Nazar on the top six just because he's so familiar from Rockford, right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we want to see it. I don't know if like you would. I don't know if you'd take Ryan Donato off that second line, with how he's been performing all season. But
I just don't want Nazar on the bottom six.
I agree. You want him playing
But you're right.
with some skilled guys. You don't want him just slotting into like the third shutdown line with some unks,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Tweaking on that.
No,
what else?
not
What
tweaking.
else? What else do we need to cover here for this Hawks hour?
What do you guys think tomorrow's gonna look like?
It's like so hard to even speculate that because it's like
We
Justin's
have no
right.
idea.
Justin's completely right though. Like it could be that kind of new coach boost. We see that all the time. But I mean, it's a matinee in Chicago.
They go on a 3-game road trip out east after that, and
Of course they do.
then come back for 3 home games. But yeah, I don't know.
I could see it either being pretty bad, we just get shellacked, or they get a win, because let's be honest, like I bet a lot of these players in that room liked
I'm
Luke
pissed off
Richardson.
right now. I'm motivated.
They probably liked him a lot, and so especially for these veteran guys, like you can't help but think these guys are going to feel like it's their responsibility.
They share responsibility.
Like,
Yeah,
you
100%.
got the coach fired because you didn't perform well. So hopefully that's, a bit of fire under their rear ends. And now the second time I've said that on the show. But hopefully they, we see a jolt in their performance, at least more effort,
I'm hoping it happens right away, but it might not, right? Because this is a quick turnaround for Sorensen, right? He's been a coach for not even a day. Now, this is his first day, right? So he's had one practice, before his first game. So that is the thing, right? If it is a different system, it might take some time for it to adjust. And the Jets are a good team, right? I know they've struggled a little bit lately, but they're still the same team that got off to that record start, right? And they've had our numbers, so it's going to be tough. But I think I'm just excited. You know what I mean? I'm more excited to watch a Hawks game than I have been in a while. Like these Richardson games, just some of them they put you to sleep, man. Even as a hardcore hockey fan, so I'm expecting just a funner team to watch, more energy, more buzz, and just excitement in the air.
Yeah, dude. It really felt like we talked about it on the show a little bit yesterday. Like I thought we were sticking with this for the rest of the season. After we got through that rough couple of weeks, like a couple weeks ago, like the start of November, when we were just scoring 1 goal a game, and it was like so depressing, and you had players saying they're not confident, like Bedard and Teravainen. When we got through that, I was like, oh, this is it. And so now that Richardson's been fired, it's like I'm on the edge of my seat because it's like, what's going to happen next? It feels like they've got to be more aggressive. More stuff has to happen around the team, whether it's personnel changing or trades or.
That's the thing. I'd be hard pressed to think that this is it. Like, when the dominoes start to fall in these types of situations. I'd be surprised they didn't make some sort of. It's not going to happen right away. They said it. They don't want to change anything right now. But like in the future, especially if things continue to stay the same, it's like you would think there's a roster move or a trade or something that would be brewing. But another note though, actually, I wanted to mention is actually the assistant coaches are all still here, right? Like Derek King, Kevin Dean, all those guys. Luke Richardson's assistants are all still here. So it's the same. It's the same regime under Sorensen, but he has leeway in terms of how he can delegate that stuff. But so that's another thing. Like if things do stay kind of the same track, was it all Richardson or was some of it kind of just the whole staff in general, right? Does there need to be more changes made there too in the future? We'll find out.
I think if things stay the same, I'm not going to look at the assistant coaches. I'm going
look
to
at the GM, Davidson,
manager.
Kyle from Chicago. Yeah. Because go
ahead.
Yeah, because I think you want to see more. It's not just the young guns. I mention the young guns all the time, but all of these offseason free agent acquisitions, like, okay, Richardson wasn't able to get the best out of him. Now you want to see Sorensen. It's like if it doesn't happen with him too, then it's like, well, then maybe he just didn't make the right moves, right?
Yeah.
I think Davidson there is some truth to that. Maybe it's still early days to judge that, but so far the early returns did not look good for the majority of those additions. So we'll see if maybe this can light a fire under him, like you said.
And who knows? Maybe we'll see a Chris Knobloch situation here, where the team completely turns around and we go on a Stanley Cup run.
I don't think we're the Oilers, man.
I'm kidding.
I think you got to lay off the peyote over there.
Yeah, I think they've got a couple players we do not over there.
Yeah, a couple, a few.
I think it's important to get the 2 points tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go into that game, get the 2 points, go onto the road feeling good. You'll get a little time away. I mean, it's not the most important 2 points of the season, but it might be up there.
It feels like it because it's like if you just get bashed and lay a stinker, then it's
the morale's gonna be an all-time low. It's already low.
It's because it'll turn into one of those things like I just mentioned. It's like, now who are we looking at? You just fired the coach and then you got skunked. You know, you're gonna start looking at the players. You're gonna start looking at the general manager. I think.
Yeah, it's pretty crucial for Sorensen. Make that good early first impression and set the tone. I think this game is actually pretty damn important. It's not just any other game.
Yeah.
I think it's crucial for the Hawks for their morale and just for the vibes to get a W here. Yeah.
I should mention the Blackhawks did just post the media availability, a 23-minute media availability with Kyle Davidson, and he edited and polished up version.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah,
okay.
So that is now on the Blackhawks website, but still, you should have put it up there live, especially for those of us who do shows in the afternoon about
make our lives easier.
Well, they just saw the Ryan Poles interview where he was asked questions about their offensive coordinator, and he stumbled and stuttered for 10 seconds before answering the question. So
well, how about this narrative with Chicago sports too? Sorry to interrupt. I'm bad at that. But it's like it's not just Richardson. It's Eberflus, Pedro Grafal of the Sox was fired.
Yeah.
Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator of the Bears, was fired. In addition, Eberflus. I think the Skies coach was fired. Not that I follow WNBA, but it's like I think Billy Donovan's now the longest tenured coach. I think the Cubs coach is the second. He's only been there for a year. So yeah, I mean, and Chicago sports, you're short. Your leash is short.
Yeah.
Donovan might be coming soon because the Bulls aren't doing too hot either, right? Chicago sports are. They're not in a hot spot, not in a great place for now, but it's only up from here, right?
Yeah, we have no good teams. It's been a rough few months, rough few years as a Chicago sports fan. But look, yeah, it's only up from here. It doesn't get worse than last in the league, firing your coach, generational talent in a sophomore slump. It doesn't get worse than this. So it's going to be on the up. Our show's going to be on the up. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to be pessimistic right now.
The future is still so bright.
That was our best show. The emergency show was one of our most listened to shows.
And that's what we want. We want more fucking juicy stuff happening. Let's see
more breaking news.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Call up Frank the Tank.
Let's spread it out, though.
Yeah. I'm with you there. We'll spread it out. Maybe once a week, have something big happen. You good with that?
Yeah.
Sounds great. Sign me up.
Someone just asked, what's the realistic ceiling for this team?
I mean,
I think nothing.
Yeah.
Where they are.
They're not going to be more than like 5 spots from the floor,
I mean, they should be better than their point total should be better. Right now, it's on the same track as last season. Like, it should be better than that. Like, at the very minimum, it should be better. Like, there's no way if it isn't after all those additions, then you could put the blame on Kyle Davidson 1,000%. But I think we're not there yet.
I think if you look at who else is on the bottom of the league, you got to start asking yourself, who are we going to catch?
That's the thing, right?
It's like, Nashville have been horrible, but you got to think
we're better than that.
They have
a much better roster
team in the league.
Maybe the Canadians?
No, and they're same thing, better. Anaheim, better. Detroit, better. Utah, So
Sharks.
Yeah, I don't think this team is going to be very good. I think we're going to be a lottery pick again. But I just want to see some goals. I want to see some offense. I want to have some fun. All right.
That's the thing, though. Like, I don't think Sorensen's going to play us out of that either. Like, I think we're going to see better hockey, but like, we're still going to be in that lotto pick area, which is kind of where we want to be. Like, this team, let's be honest, like, this team needs another top pick. It does. We need to get Betsy that complimentary piece, whether it's in the draft or the offseason, next year. Like, it's so crucial. So I think we're still going to get that with Sorensen. I don't think that's going to change anything.
If you get the number 1 overall pick this year, Tassos, do you trade it for Brady Tkachuk?
No.
Okay. Just wondering.
Maybe. But probably not.
Okay.
Probably
Would you, Justin?
No, hell no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Should we hit a break?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was pretty good for Hawks Hour.
All right.
Nice.
We're going to hit a quick break and make sure, by the way, subscribe to this YouTube channel. And follow us on Instagram, and also share with us your Spotify Wrapped. If we are, I should have said this off the hop too. I will say it off the hop again through the weekend. But if we were a part of your Spotify Wrapped, send it to us or post it on your social media and tag us in it, and we'll post it on ours. And yeah, make sure you're telling friends to check us out and subscribe and to follow us on Instagram. It really helps us out a lot. So do the 5-star ratings, whether you're leaving them on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, they really help us out a lot. But continue to follow us and subscribe, because that is really good news for all of us when all you do that. So we will take a quick break and come back with NHL Hour drama in New York.
We were on my Spotify Wrapped.
Chicago Hockey Radio, NHL Hour. Lee Grassman, Tassos Kirkos, Justin Lynch on Zoom, Raven Gasser, starting the show without a thumbs up or a heads up. You know, NHL Hour. Let me get this roll of paper towels out of here. The New York Rangers, the drama,
a lot going on.
Yeah, this Jacob Trouba situation is crazy.
I didn't get a chance to read or listen to 32 Thoughts at all. But Friedman's been tweeting about it today, and you know, the Larry Brooks stuff. I mean, Larry Brooks is a little bit, you know, he's a little bit off the rails. I think we could all agree that Larry's a bit off. I think Larry might even say himself. Maybe he wouldn't, probably, but
Brooksy.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that likes to stir the pot. So you know, the Brady Tkachuk stuff we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, I did see something from Ian Mendez, who's the Senators' VP of Communications, basically, you know, was clowning somebody on Twitter. He's the VP of Comms. The Larry Brooks tweet is, column, there's more to come. Blue shirts targeting Brady Tkachuk in talks in what would be a Whopper. And then Ian Mendez went back at him and said, let's
Whopper,
check
Burger King?
Yeah, let's check thesaurus.com. And thesaurus.com says other words that for Whopper include untruth and fabrication, falsehood, lie, story, and tale.
Huh.
So
well, that's an interesting word to use to describe that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what.
I love Whopper, dude.
A Whopper.
I haven't had a Whopper in so long,
dude. They're so good, honestly. To move on from Whopper talk, dude.
Well, no, but it's I think Ottawa. That's Ottawa's VP of Comms.
So he's saying
shutting down. Yeah, shutting down the.
Let's say if it's Senators, like why would you shut?
We've never seen front office personnel shut down a trade right before it happens, though. Like,
yeah, but that's your VP of Comms, and it's not, you know, like the GM coming out. And
if a Brady Tkachuk move happens and we don't do anything about it, or at least try to do something, I'll be very frustrated.
Yeah. Might be a next offseason agenda. Maybe we'll see. Yeah.
So Jacob Trouba's out of the lineup tonight for the Rangers for what they are calling, quote, roster management. I don't know.
Laviolette said that he's with jury on the decision, and so it sounds like they're trying to get Trouba to waive his no trade clause. Possible teams are Columbus or Anaheim, is what I've heard. And if he doesn't,
I've heard a few others like Red Wings, like Sabres, teams like that.
The Senators.
Senators.
If he doesn't waive his no trade clause, it sounds like they are considering putting him on waivers.
That's pretty wild for your captain, like go on waivers. I don't know. Like I think I pointed this out. I alluded to it on the Pucks Hour. It's like, has that ever happened? A captain being placed on waivers?
We couldn't find it. I couldn't find anything about it.
So I would assume it hasn't. That's pretty wild. What a downfall. Not just, it just shows you. We talked about this earlier in the week, just the Rangers, the situation they're in right now is crazy. I mean, they're kind of a dumpster fire at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know that if you like can come out of this for the better, you know? Like it's such a mess. And you've got that group of players there that like, you know, the top six and then those first few defensemen who have been the group the past couple years. They got pretty close last year. I've said a couple times on the show that I thought that this was going to be their last year to actually win, because if you're going to sign Igor Shesterkin to $14 million, you know, you're going to have less money to pay other people.
May have been last year at this rate.
So this is the last year with him on that contract. Like it for me going into the season, I was like, they kind of got to do it this year. And so now to kind of be considering blowing the whole thing up, like we've talked about how they were possibly looking to move off of Kreider too, and I saw today
not just Trouba.
And like Zibanejad is not waiving his no trade clause, so it seems like they were like really trying to blow this thing up. And do you think that, like, I mean, I guess if you get a guy like Brady Tkachuk, maybe it could work out, but if you don't, what is the state of your lineup?
Yeah, and then what do you got to give up to? What are you sacrificing? I do think you'd help that team out a lot, but it's like, yeah, that is the question. Was it Lafreniere been in talks too? Am I crazy? Am I making that up?
No,
Um,
you're not crazy.
okay, good.
What I heard today that we talked about before the show is that like if there was a move for Brady Tkachuk, it would probably have to include Lafreniere.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I mean that trade. Would you guys make that trade? I mean, it probably involved more than just those two, but
Yeah, it would be more than because I would have Brady Tkachuk over Alexi Lafreniere.
yeah, even I
10
would,
days
Mr.
at a
Lafreniere
time.
defender. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure, I would too.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine there'd be more to the pot there. But yeah, Rangers. We'll see what happens there, especially with Trouba. We might hear something today. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I think this is definitely coming to a head today.
yeah.
Do you think that this is going to have a positive effect on the lineup though, Tassos?
On the
I
Rangers?
mean,
Yeah.
doesn't send a great message to your room, especially if you're a
Yeah,
captain
that's
like
what I'm
that.
saying.
I mean, morale. I mean, we talk about morale being down the Hawks right now. It's got to be probably worse for them, to be honest with you. Especially if the expectations of these two teams are completely different than the Rangers.
Yeah,
They
they're
should
supposed to be good.
contending for a cup this season. You know, they're not rebuilding like we are. So much different situation. I know it's not the same thing, but yeah, coach versus captain. But yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm all here for it though. We love the drama. We love, stuff being shaken up.
feed
in
us the
NHL.
drama. That's right.
Yeah. So hopefully some more big stuff happens this weekend, and then who knows, maybe another emergency prep. No, I'm kidding. But a good show on Monday maybe with a lot of news break, and I'm sure something will happen like right after we get off this show. If we're
That's how it always works out, right? There's always something that drops, like exactly. That's the timing and things like that. Oh, we were lucky last night. I was in the gym working out when the gym bro got fired, and I was rushing over to do the emergency pod. Like I knew right away I had to lock in, so that was fun.
Yeah.
What other drama? Do we want to go to Four Nations?
Yeah. Do we? Well, I guess we haven't really talked about the rosters on this show at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when on Wednesday it's like it wasn't official yet, so we didn't know for sure. We didn't want to go into it too much because we didn't know for sure if it was going to be legit. But yeah, a lot of these snubs that we discussed that could be possibilities wound up being the case, right? You look at Team USA, like big names like Caulfield, Thompson, Tage Thompson left off the team in favor of guys like Trocheck and Kreider of the Rangers, which are definitely head scratchers to me. I don't really understand that. Although I do still think Team USA is the stronger of the two. I'm going to be biased, of the four, but between Team USA and Canada, I just think they're deeper on D and goalies we've discussed. And then Canada, our boy, was left off, and he said in response to that, Connor Bedard, "You sleep in the bed you make." So I'm sure he wasn't making any pun there. But yeah, hopefully he takes that as motivation as well. But yeah.
So Bill Guerin telling Biz too that the U.S. was one of the two teams that asked to expand the rosters, which was not really what we thought. We thought, or at least I thought, it might have been Canada and Sweden for the reasons of not really wanting Marchand. And although Lee was getting clowned on TikTok by a couple of people for saying that Brad Marchand shouldn't have been on Team Canada, I don't.
He proceeded to score 2 goals that game and get Luke fired.
Yeah, I don't know that was the most outlandish take, though. Brad Marchand wasn't really having a great.
I saw a lot of people. I was in agreement there too.
That
Yeah.
was my plan all along. Get the Bruins fans mad.
Oh, they're easy. They're easy to piss off those Bruins fans. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like it's not my fault. He's had a bad year and he's like 39.
But it was the U.S., so I guess like guys like Thompson and Caulfield were like those next guys cut. You know.
Well, nobody in USA Hockey has scored more goals the last 3 seasons except for Austin Matthews over Tage Thompson. So that's pretty wild. You leave a guy like that off the roster. And it's not just that. He brings so much more to the table. You leave a guy like Caulfield off, fine. You got guys who can score goals, but Thompson, no, he doesn't just score goals. He does a lot. There's a lot to his game. I think it'll be useful in a tournament like that. But we'll see how that plays out. I wonder if we'll see a tweet from Tage Thompson during the Four Nations if the USA gets eliminated. Oh, I feel like I should be somewhere very important right now, but can't quite put my finger on what. But this tournament isn't really that important if we're going to be real. Yeah.
No.
My issue with the U.S. selections with the Rangers guys is it kind of feels like you're going for Swiss Army knives over the best available, which obviously we'll see how it works out. But it's like, yeah, they're not having a great year. Kreider, for me, almost feels like it's solely because they want him net front on the power play. Honestly, why else would you take Chris Kreider?
That's all he does, just tipping goals to the power play.
Why would you take him over a Clayton Keller or a Tage Thompson? Same thing, Trocheck. I think the possibility that he could play center is like kind of the reason why they wanted him. But yeah, I mean, just the years they're having, it's like, oof.
Don't justify them being in that roster.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So a little frustrating.
Boy, Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon on the same team. Like, that's going to be. And Sidney Crosby. And
that top 6 for Canada is nasty. But I'll be honest, like, besides the top 6, like, I think we clear. Like, the rest of the defense is kind of shaky. A lot of stubs there. I'm not even a big fan of Evan Bouchard. I don't think he's that good, but I still thought he'd be on the team, and he wasn't. He was left off in favor of guys like Travis Sanheim. So we'll see how that pays off for Canada. That defense and goaltending is, I don't know. I mean, you got McCarr there on D. He's going to be a dynamic, but that doesn't really move me, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm being biased as an American. I'm sure the Canadians will chirp me there, but yeah.
I agree. Also, a name we didn't bring up at all was Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, no.
Awesome pickup by Canada, though.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun, like, okay, do I think he's better maybe than a player like John Tavares? No, not right now, at least. Bo Horvat, right? Those kinds of players. Barzal didn't make the team, he did make the team, right? Yes.
Barzal.
No, he didn't.
No.
No,
right?
yeah.
No.
Cirelli was an interesting one. I would have Bedsy with Cirelli, but I'm being biased.
Yeah, so I don't know how some people feel about that over others, but Jarvis is a good kid, and I think he's one of the most fun personalities in the NHL, and this is probably something that you're looking at more towards the Olympics for, right? Is like getting this kid used to playing with these kinds of players and seeing.
I'll say I called the Brendan Hagel one. I knew for sure he was going to be on Team Canada. I think that's a genius pick by them. And honestly, the way he's been playing lately, why would you not? I mean, he had 2 goals in 20 seconds the other night, and he's having an insane season. Blackhawks legend. So yeah, I'm happy for him. The player he's become, man, it's like hats off to him. You'll have to see it. Very likable guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, had to be in that roster, especially all the things he can do. You can play
no Stromer though. No Dylan Strome.
No Strome.
But I'm not really shocked by that. But I mean, I think maybe before Ovechkin went down, he would have. But no.
Yeah, I'm just like looking through the games last night, trying to come up with some thought. Like, buddy, we were talking about the Rangers a lot today, but like the Islanders are so bad.
They suck.
How much overtime loss points do those guys have?
Over the last 2 seasons, especially too, I feel like they had like 16 last year when they made the playoffs.
And that's how they make the playoffs. All these fake loser points. That's another reason why I'm not a huge fan of that 1-point system. I just think you're rewarding. You're giving them participation points. It's like they've won 9 games. They're
not making the playoffs this year.
They've won 1 more game than we have, and they have 7 more points. Like, what the hell?
Well, they're not making the playoffs this year. So
they're not. They're not.
Last in the Metro.
Yeah, no, they're ass. They're ass.
Connor McDavid, really good at hockey too. Just throwing that out there again. Yeah, I mean,
he knows what he's doing.
4 assists last night. Columbus Blue Jackets in town. Just I'm gonna hang up 4 assists on the Blue Jackets here.
Also, I was praising the Sharks in the postgame show. Like, that's the way rebuilding teams should play. Rah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they proceed to get blanked 8-1 by the Lightning. So yeah, that aged really well. Everything I tend to say on this podcast tends to age really, really well if you haven't picked up on that. So if you're in the betting game, whatever I say, do the opposite and you'll make money.
I don't know why you don't have Askarov on the roster. I know you have Blackwood and Vanacek, but just call the kid up. If I don't know.
No, I'm in agreement. I think he's better than both of those guys.
If you're gonna let Vanacek get in there, get beat for 5 in there, you might as well put the kid in, see if he can stop some more pucks.
I think he's ready. It's not like I think you'd be rushing him either. Like the way he's played in the minors, like I don't think he needs to be down there. I think you could put him on that Sharks team, and he'd still be better than those two. Mid over there, Vitek, Vanacek, and Blackwood. So yeah,
barn burner in the Panthers Flyers game, 7-5.
Michkov had 3 assists in the second period too.
Helping out my fantasy team.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
You have Michkov on your fantasy team?
I got Michkov, I got Subrini, I got Bedsy. It's a young guns team. That's what I'm going for. And I'm 6-2, winning my league in the Hawks chats. So just had to throw that in there.
Dubs for you, I guess.
Team Bjork memes. They should hire me. Honestly, GM if Davidson doesn't work out, man.
I've really turned the corner in my fantasy season, so I'm kind of happy about that right now.
I don't have a fantasy.
I hope under the Sorensen regime we'll see kind of more games like this. Less of these 2-1, 3-1 snooze fests, and let's see some offense here. Who needs defense when you're scoring 5 goals a game? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Lee, the reason you're not in a fantasy hockey league is because you have no friends.
I knew you were gonna say that.
By the way, not to bring this back to Hawks Hour, but I just noticed that Anders Sorensen kind of resembles former Bears coach Matt Nagy. Can you guys not see that at all? Can you see the resemblance? I swear he kind of looks like him. A little bit, right?
I was last night I was making a clip for the show, and I was gonna use a picture of Sorensen in it. But the pictures on the internet were all awful, and I had to like double check a couple times because the first one that came up, he looked like a hitman. Like he looked like it looked like a freaking it looked like a mugshot, and I was like, "Is this guy's an interesting looking fella?"
The Hawks dropped a picture of him with a handshake with Bedsy, so hopefully that'll be a nice partnership and it'll help get him going. But sorry, I just saw that, so I had to bring it up. But we could get back to the NHL now.
You know what? Actually, we are gonna stick with
Oh, did something happen?
No, we just forgot to do Friday questions. So
that's right. Yeah.
I do have a question.
Let's do it.
I have one question here. Without turning into a CHSN rant, how does everyone think the broadcast crew has been doing? Ball and Pang have been doing great, but I'm also a fan of people who slot in when Pang is out, like Chelios or Murray. It's no Pat and Edzo, but the streets don't forget the dark days of Colby Cohen. And actually, I have to, because I shouldn't have read that, because just Colby Cohen's great, and Morning Cup of Hockey is really good, and he and Johnny Laz crush it every morning. We're gonna have Johnny Laz on our program, I think, next week. So
nice.
No Colby Cohen slander here.
Yeah, I think that's the positive CHS said. Like, say what you will about their issues. Like, it took them 2 months to get an app running, and the issues with just getting the game on for everybody in Chicago. But the broadcast has actually been good. The crew's great. The crew that works there is great.
Is awesome. Like how we were able to scramble together and find some guys that are really are like the best in the biz. Like, and to that point, like when Troy Murray comes on too, it's pretty awesome. So that part of it has been absolutely awesome. And it's like, I just hope that down the road, we can find a system here that's better than a $20 app that you can't download on your TV. The
app should be free. I mean, we should have to pay $20 to watch this team at the moment.
Well, yeah, it's just, it's, and I've said it multiple times, it really is a big problem. It's affecting ticket sales. It's affecting us too. Honestly, I think we'd be doing even better if more people were watching this show. I would love to know kind of how many people are like average viewers for these games this year versus like the past couple years, because I bet it's down significantly. So yeah, the whole decision-making process and the app and the subscription, all that is completely dreadful and horrible for the Blackhawks and its fans, but the crew is awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the person asking the question said, without turning this into a CHSI rep, but Lee couldn't quite hold himself in. I'm just messing with you.
Don't ask me about CHSN and then say don't do a rant.
Yeah, no, he's just giving you like the bait there. That's what that is, But yeah, and also like just the main broadcast, like Rick Ball is so fun to listen to. He knows his stuff and a good voice. Knows the game. Unlike a certain Chris Foster's. Anyway, I'm not the slander Foster's. He's cool, but and yeah, just Panger does a good job. I think they have good chemistry. So that's been great. I've enjoyed that. It's not quite Pat and Eddie. You can never match that, but it's great.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, for sure.
This one's kind of a question, something to bring up on the podcast, and it's a graphic of players' first overall picks in their sophomore seasons over the last 10 years. Okay, so and the Bedard point pace might be a little bit off now because this is from
is that for Scott
about a
Wheeler?
week ago. Bedard 65-point pace. Slavkovsky 50 points sophomore season. Lafreniere 31 points. Jack Hughes 31 points.
Oof.
Nico Hischier 47 points. Austin Matthews 63 points. Connor McDavid 100 points. Nathan McKinnon 68 points. Neil Yakupov 24 points. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins 24 points. Taylor Hall 53 points. John Tavares 67 points. Steven Stamkos 95 points, and Patrick Kane 70 points. And like I said off the hop, Bedard 65-point pace, so that might be a little bit down. after the last few games, but I don't know. So
Yeah, I think it's
he's
still around
right
60.
in the upper echelon of that group. And a lot of those players had better teams to work with in their second seasons than Connor Bedard does. So
Yeah, like we're last place right now. This team is somehow just as bad as last year. But hopefully, it'll get better now. Sorensen, but it's like, yeah, he has much less to work with compared to anyone else on that list, and his numbers are pretty much they're a little down compared to last year, but not that much. It's more stagnant compared to a regression that everybody keeps yapping about. And I think it just goes to show. You look at other first round picks there, and he's up there, right? So I think just all this sensationalism around Bedard's second season has been greatly exaggerated. So. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's important to remind people where we're at here. Just kind of stay realistic here. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, we had another fan send us a picture of them listening on a plane.
That's
Another one?
Awesome. Yeah.
Another one.
hilarious.
Wow.
Shout
Another
out.
Mile High Club CHR guy. I love to see it. Or a woman. I don't know if it's who it was. Yeah.
It was a guy.
Okay, it was a guy. Not to
I think
assume, but
I think when in doubt, you can probably guess.
No. Hey, we have.
We do. We
have
definitely do.
female
I
listeners.
would love to know.
Peacock
the,
memes canceled.
I would love to know the demo breakdown. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, we definitely have women listeners. I've reached out to me on Peacock memes like I love your show and all that, so that's great. We love everybody coming over.
Ooh, all the ladies reaching out. The ladies.
Yeah,
reaching
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take here. You know.
That's so funny. Had to chirp you for that. Any other questions for us, or was that?
No, that was
it?
kind of it.
Send us more questions, please. I guess we
Yeah,
haven't
we love answering.
we haven't advertised that as much the past couple weeks. But we do enjoy doing that, especially on Fridays. Any games tonight that move you guys at all?
Let's see what we got here.
And on the weekend too. Raven, can you look up who Hockey Night in Canada or what the Hockey Night in Canada game is? I would assume might be Maple Leafs Penguins. That's my guess for Hockey Night in Canada tomorrow. And yeah, I would assume it's that, and then the Blues Oilers for the late game. But
I think the game of the weekend is clearly Hawks versus Jets tomorrow. Definitely not being biased there whatsoever.
yeah, that Utah Buffalo tomorrow. Really looking forward to
what
that
a
one.
barn burner that's going to be. Battle of mid.
Kind of a weak lineup tomorrow. I guess
Yeah.
Avs Red Wings could be a pretty good game. Wild Kings will be
Well,
pretty
I was
good.
just looking at that. Yeah. Blues Oilers could actually be a decent one. I mean, anytime the Oilers, that's always an easy one just because of their players.
Tonight might actually be better because you got Caps, Maple Leafs, you have Penguins,
Rangers, Pens.
Pens.
That's
with
a
all
good
this,
one.
With all this
Yeah.
Rangers stuff happening today.
Yeah, who's going to be in there live? There might be some guys might
And
trade
then
may have broke by then. Yeah.
Stars Golden Knights too at 9 Eastern or 9
That's a good one.
Central. Sorry.
The two Hockey Night games for Canada tomorrow are Toronto at Pittsburgh and St. Louis at Edmonton.
Wow, you called
Yeah,
it.
dude. I mean,
Nice.
it's pretty easy. to
Connecting
pick
the
out a Hockey
dots.
Night in Canada game. So, all right.
So yeah, just look at the Canadian teams.
Yeah, Sunday, and then I don't know what you guys expect out of Sunday. Kind
Sunday,
of a
what we
weak
got
Sunday too. Maybe the
Yeah,
Avs Devils game is something to get up for. At least they give us like a Flame Stars game at night too on Sunday night. But I don't know if I'm gonna get up for Kraken Rangers even at.
Yeah.
Sunday's football day. We'll be
my
watching.
NFL day.
We'll be
Yeah.
watching Thomas Brown's first game. That's actually
Charlie
interesting.
Brown.
Both for the first games for Bears and Hawks interim head coaches Thomas Brown and Sorensen this weekend. Saturday for the Hawks and Sunday for the Bears. So hopefully we'll get 2 W's there. Probably 2 L's, but maybe we can always be optimistic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it would be so funny if both teams ended up just signing their interim coaches long term. That would be the most Bears and Blackhawks things to do is miss out on a legit coach and be like, no, these guys are pretty good.
Yeah, recency bias. Yeah, the easy way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any
What
other thoughts before we get out of here?
I think I got everything off my chest that I needed to.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have time to talk about it on Monday, on the Monday show. But I actually found it interesting, this Rangers talk. We actually play the Rangers, not the next game, but after the next game on Monday. So, two of the teams with the most drama in the NHL right now, not too far away from the matchup. So that'll be pretty fun to watch. But we'll get into that on the Monday show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have Saturday's post game and then a whole podcast on Monday to break that down. So cool. All right. You guys are good?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Looking good. Yeah.
All right. That's it. We kept it pretty on the rails for a Friday show here, guys. Yesterday, I said it on my show yesterday that it just felt more like it felt more like a Friday yesterday, and then we had the emergency pod, and but this is just kind of like a weird day. But
Yeah.
Yeah, all over it. We said at the end of the Hawks Hour, please subscribe to this YouTube channel at Chicago Hockey Radio. If you are listening right now, please leave a 5-star rating and review. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment, leave whatever, and follow us on Instagram, please, at Chicago Hockey Radio. Tag us if you're listening. Post it on your story. Tag us. We'll post on ours. Share your Spotify Wrapped with us. Also, if we are included in it, we'd love to know. We've gotten a couple people sending it, and it's cool.
Yeah. Don't send it if we're not in it. I don't care about your stuff.
Please no. Please. And no music stuff, podcasts. I don't care about your music tastes.
We don't care about your music tastes. All right. That's it from us. We'll be back tomorrow, post-game show after the Jets game.